Anthony Davis has all the tools of a generational player. I thought that this season he was going to kind of take the number one option from LeBron. He hasn't really done that yet. And I think a lot of that is just him just having to stay on the court. Hello and welcome to the Tuesday, August 17th edition of the TV on Basketball Podcast with your host, TV. Episode 70. We are here to talk some NBA basketball. Hope you're all having a fantastic day and thank you for clicking on to watch or listen to today's episode. Before we start, I do have to plug my other platforms. Remember to follow at TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for represent a podcast of our other great content. If you're on YouTube, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you will not miss an episode. And for all my podcast listeners, remember to sub and leave a review if you're on Apple. For the Spotify, Anchor, or Podbean listeners, just show your support in any way you can. That would be highly, highly appreciated. I have an awesome show lined up for you guys today. We're going to be talking about some key transactions that happened over the past week, including two very key re-signings coming in this morning and yesterday. So we're going to be getting into that. And then we're going to be discussing my top 5 players at each position of the small forward, power forward, and centers. So yes, this is going to be an action-packed show. Very excited to give you these lists. Obviously, since I'm doing these 3 positions this week, I'm going to be doing the 2 guard positions next week. And whatever else I'm going to be talking about on that show. It's going to be a good one. But today we're going to be talking about the forwards and the centers. That's going to be a fun episode. And yeah, thank you guys for all the support. Still going to be doing a weekly podcast for sure. I don't know if I'm going to go back to 2 episodes. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm going to definitely, now that I'm out of my full-time job at the moment, I have a part-time going on right now. But at the moment, I'm going to be putting out a lot more content on my social media, so be on the lookout for that. Hopefully some more edits. Maybe I might do some other lists as well on the page, so just be on the lookout for that. But yeah, it's going to be an action-packed episode, so let's just get right into it. And the first topic we're going to be discussing is Eric Bledsoe got traded from the Grizzlies. Yes, the Grizzlies offloaded his contract, and he is going back to the team that drafted him, the Los Angeles Clippers, as the Clippers trade away Patrick Beverley, Rajon Rondo, and Daniel Oturu, and they receive Eric Bledsoe. Man. I think the NBA Twitterverse, the NBA fans in general, are kind of in agreement in this deal and thinking, what the heck, Clippers? What the heck? I mean, Eric Bledsoe, over the last 2 years, has not gotten himself a good reputation. 3 years ago, he was a solid point guard who got a pretty decent contract from the Milwaukee Bucks, and they decided to choose him over Malcolm Brogdon, which, in hindsight, was definitely a mistake. So, they trade him away because he just did not produce in the playoffs like he does every year. They traded him to the Pelicans in order to get Jrue Holiday, and look at that. They trade away Eric Bledsoe, they get Jrue Holiday, they're NBA champions. Big addition there with Jrue Holiday. The Pelicans was hoping with bringing him in, bringing Steven Adams in, bringing a defensive head coach in Stan Van Gundy, that maybe this would be a good identity for the Pelicans for last season. Nope, even with those additions, they were still one of the worst defensive teams in basketball. So what do they do now? They knew they had to get off that contract. They had to get off the Steven Adams contract, so they moved both of them to the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, I do think that Steven Adams will stay. Everyone just had a feeling that Eric Bledsoe was going to get traded. And the Clippers traded him away. They traded away Patrick Beverley, who actually did really well in the playoffs, Rondo, and then a young piece in Daniel Oturu. When I say this, for Clippers fans, I mean, yes, they did need an upgrade at point guard, but the fact that we have to even question if this is an upgrade of over what you had right now is not a good sign for this trade. Bledsoe, if you get it like his Suns version, maybe his early Bucks version, maybe that's worth it because he was averaging 17 points a game, was a solid defender, good playmaker. Still can't really shoot the basketball, which is something I think the Clippers were looking for. But over the past 2 years, Eric Bledsoe has not proven that he is that guy anymore. I mean, he is far from Suns Bledsoe, the guy who looked like he was going to get a near max contract deal there. Over the last 2 years, he just hasn't proven that he could be that guy. And especially with the Clippers, I mean, yes, you need an upgrade at point guard position, But Beverly gave you some good minutes in those playoffs. I mean, obviously that push on Chris Paul, not it. That whole thing with Devin Booker, not it. But this guy was key in the Utah Jazz series. He was actually very important to them in that Phoenix Suns series too. Are you even gonna get that same type of impact with Eric Bledsoe? I'm questioning that. I mean, maybe things will change because he moved out of a not winning situation in there, and the Pelicans going to a team with high aspirations in the Clippers. But I just don't think so because Beverly gives you that heart, gives you that defense. Sure, his offensive game was lacking, but he can hit a couple threes. Bledsoe, I don't think he could do that. I really do think that Beverly's a better shooter than Bledsoe. Then they also traded away Rajon Rondo, who, yes, fair play, he didn't play a lot in the playoffs, but he could have been, useful. Maybe even like get like a couple, maybe in a different trade at the trade deadline. But you trade all this. I mean, I'm saying all this like it's a big package. It really isn't. But you're trading two guys who I think as a combined will give you more than Eric Bledsoe along with a young piece. For Eric Bledsoe, I just do not think it's worth it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe, like I said, the biggest thing here is maybe Bledsoe would be like, okay, now that Kawhi's out for most of the year, he's going to have some kind of responsibility along with, Paul George and all them. Maybe he gets an opportunity there. But will we see that Suns Bledsoe? I don't think so. And the fact that they traded away Beverly, who I think can give them very similar impact along with two other players, I don't think that trade was worth it for the Clippers. That trade was not worth making. I would have rather them just went after George Hill in free agency. I'd rather them do something like that than trade for Eric Bledsoe. And that's mostly because, like I said, just the last 2 years, I just cannot see him kind of going past that. We've seen the best of Eric Bledsoe. I think it's kind of downhill from here. And maybe the Clippers are trying to revive his career, but honestly, I would have tried to wait either in the buyout market or trade something less than this, because I think this is quite a bit much for Eric Bledsoe at the moment. And again, I just don't think they still have that steady point guard option. I mean, yes, they have Bledsoe, but I just don't think it's still like a steady position. I think that we're going to be back around the trade deadline, back in the buyout market, and you can see the Clippers maybe trying to get another point guard. Maybe I'm proven wrong. Maybe Bledsoe does prove me wrong, but honestly, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. So yeah, that's the Eric Bledsoe trade. I think the Grizzlies actually did a good job with just trying to offload his contract, getting a bunch of expiring deals in there as well. Very good business by them. Also getting Beverly to help out in the defensive end. Maybe could make some key plays in the playoffs. Who knows? But, I think this is a W for the Grizzlies. A big W, especially adding Daniel Turo to there as like a maybe young piece for the future. Who knows? Now we move on to the second transaction that happened, which happened yesterday, actually. Marcus Smart getting a contract extension, 4 years, $77 million. I said 77, right? $77 million deals from the Boston Celtics to stay there. I think that this is absolutely needed from the Celtics. I mean, they didn't maybe make some big improvements to their team. I mean, yes, they have Al Horford, but they also lost Kemba Walker. They brought in Dennis Schroeder. I still, like I mentioned in the last episode, I just don't think they're in that upper echelon of the East just yet. But I think that what they did here was a great move. 4 years, $77 million for I don't want to say Dennis Schroeder, Marcus Smart, and he gives you so much more than his stats. That's what we've learned from Marcus Smart ever since he came into the league. He's made the playoffs every single year he's been in the NBA, and he has just been the heart and soul of that Boston Celtics team. Sure, Jaylen Brown's better. Sure, Kemba was better. Sure, Kyrie was better. You can even go down the list. Hayward was probably a better player. But Marcus Smart was the defensive anchor on that team. He was the one that showed the most heart. And I think without Smart in this year's team, I think they would be maybe a bit further down, because he just gives them just the emotional boost that they need, the tough guy that the Celtics need. And the Celtics bring him back on a 4-year deal, I think was absolutely necessary, and I'm very, very glad they're able to get that deal done. This sucks for Schroeder, though. This absolutely sucks for Schroeder. At the moment, as I look at the roster, you got Smart, you got Brown, you got Tatum, Al Horford, and potentially Robert Williams. I don't know how they're going to set this up. I don't even know who the starting shooting guard is. I don't know if they're going to start Nesmith or something, but Marcus Smart, maybe they do Marcus Smart, Dennis Schroeder backcourt, who knows? But them giving Marcus Smart the contract means that they're probably not thinking of keeping Dennis Schroeder long term. Maybe they do, depending on how good of a season he has, but yeah, We still don't know if Dennis Schroeder is going to start or not. But in terms of the smart to the Celtics, them resigning him, they absolutely need it. They absolutely need it. And as long as you keep getting different players in, maybe you make some moves here and there. When you have a core of Tatum, Brown, and Smart all around the same timeline, bring in someone else maybe to fill in that center, not even center position, maybe another wing position at the shooting guard. Maybe develop their bench a bit more. That would be good. But then bringing back Marcus Smart was absolutely needed. I think that was a great deal for the Boston Celtics. Next transaction that happened, which actually happened this morning. This wasn't in my books to talk about until the news came out this morning. Joel Embiid just signed a max contract extension, Supermax, 4 years, $196 million. Joel Embiid coming off possibly his best season of his NBA career, second in MVP voting. I mean, this guy was just an absolute monster this year. I think that, I'm not afraid of saying this, I think he would have won MVP if it wasn't for his injury. I mean, this season, 28 points per game, 10.6 rebounds, 2.8 assists, the highest field goal percentage of his entire career, his best 3-point shooting percentage of his entire career. This is just a fantastic year for Joel Embiid, and this is fully deserved. This is 100% fully deserved, especially with the whole thing going on with Simmons right now. I don't know if they're going to trade him or still. I would be very surprised if he's still under roster day one. But if one constant that's been great for the team ever since he came in was Joel Embiid, I mean, obviously the only issues he's had was his injuries. But I'm glad they're able to bring him back. This guy has potential to be a top 5 player in the NBA very soon. But again, throughout his entire career, the same question always remains. Can he stay healthy? Because if you look at each year of his career, in his first season, 31 games, 63 games, then 64 games, then the last 2 seasons, 51 apiece. He hasn't played more than 70 games. He hasn't. And he played in the playoffs with a torn meniscus. Apparently, he didn't need surgery, so that was very interesting to see. But he needs to be healthy if the 76ers really want to become title contenders. Embiid is a top 10 player in the NBA. I definitely have him there. But he needs to be on the court, and he needs to be durable, especially come playoff time. I'm not going to say that them losing to the Hawks was his fault. A lot of that does fall on Ben Simmons. But also his injury issues were still prevalent there. You could tell that because he hasn't really gone this far into his season, that his body was kind of letting him down. And he really needs to work on that, especially if he wants to be, in that upper echelon of NBA players. Like I said, he has potential to be a top 5 NBA player. He has the skill set. He's one of the best defenders in the league. He'll always be a deep boy candidate. But he just needs to stay healthy. That is the biggest thing. Maybe the 76ers make some moves around him. Maybe they get a better point guard. We'll have to wait and see. But them locking up Embiid is really good because that means that he is committed to winning a championship, succeeding in Philadelphia, which is great to see. But now it's just time to build a team around him because he was obviously going to be the guy you would keep around instead of Ben Simmons. It was funny how that was a conversation a few years ago. Even I was debating it. But he has proven that he is a top 10 player in the league. He deserves this money. He just got to stay healthy. He 100% just has to stay healthy. We'll have to wait and see. We're going to have to wait and see how this all pans out. I know in his last contract that there was a clause where if he missed a certain amount of games, he would be making less money. I don't know if they have that type of clause in this contract extension. We'll have to wait and see. But someone right now who is 27 years of age, who's just entering his prime, you needed to make this deal. They made this deal. Congrats, Joel Embiid, for getting his money. Good for him. So yeah, those are the 3 transactions that I want to talk about. Let me know down below what you guys think. Was Smart an overpay? I don't think so, but some people might think that. What do you think about, from the Clippers' perspective, getting Eric Bledsoe? How do you feel about the Embiid contract extension? Let me know down below what you guys think. But now, time to get into these top 5s, baby. We're going to be going through the center position, the power forward position, and the small forward position in this episode, giving my top 5 in each of those positions. Obviously, there's going to be some people are going to be talking about, oh, this guy should be ahead of this guy shouldn't even be top 5. That's some great conversation. Let me know in the comment section down below whether you agree or disagree with my rankings. I might even post this on my Instagram, so let me know down below on that post as well. Now, where should we start? Should we start in the small forward position or the center position? You know what? Let's start at the center position. We're going to start there. We're going to start at the center position, and I'm going to be talking about my top 5 at each of those positions. So we got to start off with an honorable mention. Obviously, we got to talk about an honorable mention here at center. And my honorable mention for the center position is Nicole Vucevic. Yes, this guy is a borderline top 5 center in my opinion. Over the last few years, he has shown that he is a all-star type player. 2-time All-Star already in his career this season, averaging 23 points a game, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. Obviously, he was on the Orlando Magic for the majority of his career until he got traded to the Bulls this season. And what I like about his game is that this guy can shoot the 3-ball, which he has massively improved on, 40% last season. He has gone better there. One of the league's premier rebounders, and this guy can score on the inside. My only issue with Vucevic is that if you're going to build around him, or not even like around him, but add him to your team, he needs to be either the second or third option, preferably the third option, because building an offense around him, as seen in Orlando, just does not work. Yes, he has improved his game so that he could become more of a modern-day center, but he's still not the greatest defender. I think he's slightly below average. Like I said, he's a great rebounder. He can score, but he's also just not the most athletic. He's someone who could be, put in like a Kevin Love role on a championship team. I could definitely see that. And hopefully, the Bulls like kind of get that sorted. I mean, obviously, LaVine's going to be their first option. Maybe DeMar's the second option. Who knows? But Vucevic is going to have to play another key role in the Bulls this year. Maybe he can move into the top 5. We'll see. But at the moment, he's my honorable mention. Coming in at number 5 is someone who I was very high on in his first early seasons, but over the last 2 seasons he's kind of plateaued, and maybe it's also because of his team just being relatively bad throughout his entire career. I'm going to be talking about Karl-Anthony Towns. Yes, Karl-Anthony Towns is going to occupy my 5th position. Last season, averaging 24 points a game, 10 rebounds. Very good from 3, 38% from 3, also 48% from the field. And the thing about Karl-Anthony Towns is he has all the skills offensively to be a top 2 NBA player, to be on that Embiid, to be on that Jokic level. He can get there. But the thing is, with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and this is just more about their incompetence more than anything, he's made the playoffs once in his career, and that was with Jimmy Butler. He hasn't really had that success as a number 1 guy. I mean, this guy made an All-Star team twice. He was All-NBA in 2018. Yes, he 100% deserves that, especially because he's basically been a 20-10 guy his entire career. He has shown that he could reach those levels, but there's just no success to back it up with Karl-Anthony Towns. And especially over the last 2 seasons, he's become a bit more injury-prone, which has been highly unfortunate because literally his first 4 years of his career, he's only missed like 5 games. But over the last 2 seasons, he's missed over 60 games, which is kind of like hurting his stock with me. I mean, obviously, like last season was kind of tough for him with his with his family catching COVID and stuff, his mom dying. But he just needs to stay on the court. He needs to stay healthy, and he just needs to have some sort of success to back him up. He kind of needs that Trae Young moment, that Devin Booker moment, to kind of catapult him up the rankings at the center position. But he still has all the tools. Like I said, last year, 25, 10, and 5. This guy's a great 3-point shooter, one of the best low post players in the game, a great rebounder. He has all the tools. He just needs to have success to back it up, and that has to do more with the Timberwolves having to build a better team around him. So coming at number 5, I do have Karl-Anthony Towns. Coming at number 4, I have someone who just signed a contract extension last summer, not this summer, last summer, an NBA finalist from last year, not from the 2020 season. We're going to be talking about Bam Adebayo. This past season, averaging basically 19 points a game, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, has made the all-defensive team twice and is a 1-time All-Star. Bam Adebayo, for me, I mean, I talked about Karl-Anthony Towns, how he's not really as athletic and doesn't really have the defensive capabilities. Well, Bam Adebayo, for me, is the prototypical center that you want in the NBA, in the modern day. Someone who needs to work on his offensive game. He definitely needs to work on his scoring because That hasn't been really gone like super consistent. I mean, this past playoffs he was absolutely horrible as well, which is unfortunate. But that's something you have to really talk about too. I mean, only 15 points, 9 rebounds, on 45% from the field. It was just pretty bad. But over the last 2 seasons, he's shown that he can grow into a star player, as the two all defensive teams showcased. One of the best rim protectors. And what I like about him is his ability to switch on the perimeter makes the Miami Heat such a dangerous team, because he's able to switch on to perimeter players and actually hold his own. He just really needs to work on his consistency. That's the biggest thing for Bam Adebayo, because and obviously get better as a rebounder as well, because they actually got killed on the glass a lot last year, the Miami Heat. But he has underrated passing ability. He has the defensive capabilities. He just needs to work on his offensive game a bit, and just kind of establish himself in like on the offensive end. That's my biggest thing with Bam Adebayo. He's developed a really good mid-range jumper as well. I actually like his mid-range shot, and I really don't think that he really needs to develop an outside shot like a 3-pointer. But he's gonna be one of those guys for like a long time. It's gonna be just extremely valuable to championship teams, whether he stays with the Heat, whether he goes to another team. His ability to just like have that athleticism to do well on the defensive end, as well as be a lob threat as well, is very, very valuable. He's going to take some years to develop. I mean, he's still super young. He's only 24 years of age. There's a lot of work he still has to get done, but the fact that he's already a top four center after 4 seasons is very promising for the young Miami Heat player. So at number 4, give me Bam Adebayo. Coming in at number 3, and I know people are going to be super pissed about this, I have Rudy Gobert as the 3rd best center in basketball. Now let me explain. Yes, the playoffs, people are going to talk about, oh, this guy got exposed in the playoffs, this and that. I mean, and yes, that was definitely an issue that he needs to like work on. Being able to defend like perimeter guys, just being able to like move his feet better on that end. And he kind of got exposed there in that series versus the Clippers, especially when they went small. I think he's going to work on that come the season, because he has kind of experienced like kind of the failure of like going through that. So I think that he's definitely going to work on that. But if someone tries to tell you that he is not the most influential defender in basketball at the moment, I think only rivaled by Giannis, they're lying, because he is honestly one of the best defenders in basketball, arguably the best. I mean, you have Giannis up there. You could talk about Kawhi Leonard as well. But in terms of most influential defenders, Rudy Gobert has to be at the top at the moment. Like I mentioned, basically every year, Rudy Gobert. Donovan Mitchell, probably their best player. I would not mind saying that about him. But if you talk about someone who has contributed most to their success and is the reason the Jazz are what they are right now, I mean, last season the number 1 overall team in the league, constant Western Conference, fighting for home court advantage. The biggest reason is Rudy Gobert. His ability to deter players away from the rim is very, very underrated. This guy's basically a guaranteed 2 blocks every single game as well. And he's gone better as a perimeter defender, even though he still does have to work on it. But, man, friggin' Rudy Gobert is just a really, really good defender. Has improved his offensive game as well a little bit. 2-time All-Star already. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. This guy is just like kind of the one guy that you want like protecting the rim. He is the best rim protector in basketball. And I know like people, like I said, people like are really down Rudy Gobert right now. He helped the French national team make it to the gold medal game as well. So his impact is there. He just needs to work on those like things that can really kind of change series for the Utah Jazz. I mean, like I said, against the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard, they just went small and they took advantage of Rudy Gobert. He just needs to, assert his dominance more, especially on the defensive end, and just have just like a little like average ability at defending guys on the perimeter. That's the biggest thing for me. He just needs to work on those 2 things, but he is still one of the best centers in basketball. That's why I have him number 3. Coming at number 2, I don't have to go too much into this guy because this guy just got a contract extension. Yes, and we talked about it earlier in the show. My number 2 center in basketball right now is Joel Embiid. like I said, coming off number 2 in MVP voting, best season of his career. One of the best rim protectors, along with Rudy Gobert. He is a fantastic offensive player as well, which makes him so dangerous against other teams. But the reason I really just can't put him number 1, and I really had him number 1, I think like 2 years ago, is the injuries, man. I wanted to say, like, he's going to get more healthy as his career goes on. He hasn't really gone to that point yet. Hopefully he could play 70-plus games in this season, but I highly doubt it. Embiid's a fantastic player. Definitely has potential to be a top 5 NBA player, top 5 center. The best center in basketball. He just needs to stay healthy. And the guy at number 1, who I think a lot of people can easily kind of guess, has done it for his entire career, and he's been able to stay relatively healthy. But you can't take anything away from Joel Embiid. Again, fantastic rim protector. Just a great offensive player. Has fantastic post skill. He could just do it all, from the 3 points, from the mid range. He is just a 3-level scorer at someone that's 7 foot tall. Very, very impressive. Coming at number 2, Joel Embiid, number 2 center in basketball. And coming in at number 1, we got the MVP of the league. We have the Joker, Nicola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. Last season, played every single game, 26 points per game, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, a near triple-double. And what really impresses me about Jokic more than anything is the way that he could take his regular season play and just elevate in the playoffs somehow. I mean, if you watch him in the playoffs, this guy was just an absolute monster once again. 29, basically a 30 points per game, 11 rebounds. Solid, not a bad defender, 1 steal a game. He can hit the 3 ball, very efficient in the paint. And he just has, that passing ability, which is one of the best in the league, if not the best. And arguably, he's the best passing center of all time. I think he is. Some people will say Bill Walton. Some people will say Arvydas Sabonis. I think that Nikola Jokic is the best passing big man in NBA history. The fact that he just can control the game offensively, can draw 2 or 3 defenders and just make that perfect pass every time, can dominate in the paint, can just get hot from 3, and can still just be great on the glass. He's such a great all-around offensive player. Some people are gonna kind of hold his defense against him as a reason why he shouldn't be over Embiid. But in terms of impact on his team, Nikola Jokic is one of the top, he has one of the top values, one of the top impacts on his team. And you could tell this year, after Jamal Murray went down with injury, the Nuggets barely missed a beat. And the big reason why is because of Nikola Jokic's stellar MVP season. He was able to maintain it for all 72 games. He was able to stay on the court. And he just continues to just improve every single day. I think he's an average defender, which is, I think, fine for him. He just needs to put better defenders around him. But this guy, over the last few years, is barely injured, played 70-plus games in every single year of his career. Those type of stuff matters to me, man, being available, and Nikola Jokic is that. So right now, he is my number 1 center in the NBA right now. Those are my top 5 centers. Let me know down below what you guys think, agree or disagree. Let's move right along. Let's move on to the power forward position. And we're going to start with the honorable mention. My honorable mention for this, for the power forward position, is going to be Domantas Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis for me is an honorable mention here. Some people think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. I do think so as well. It was really tough between choosing him and number 5. It was actually a really, really tough decision. But his improvement ever since his rookie season has just been absolutely fantastic. Steadily improvements every single year. This season averaging 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. I think that's highly, highly underrated, the type of season he's had. 2-time All-Star as well. He was a injury replacement this year. And he's kind of, for me, like a mini Jokic. I mean, he is a very, very good passer and one of the best rebounders. Definitely still needs to work on his defense a little bit. He is he can get into the passing lanes for sure because of his length. But he really just doesn't have the team success to match with his play. Kind of same with like Nicole Vucevic. I just don't think you can build around him as a number one option because right now he's the number one option on the Pacers, and that really can't be anything more than a play-in tournament team at the moment. But if you put better players around him, I think you could really see his value like skyrocketing. I could think he could be either a second or third best player on a championship team. Most likely a third player, but he could maybe be a second best player. But he's very good. Domantas Sabonis, a very, very good player. He is an honorable mention for me for my power forward list. And the guy I was literally flipping back and forth between him and my number 5 is going to be Julius Randle. I was really flip-flopping between him and Sabonis. Which one should go 5? Which one should go 6? But at number 5, I do have Julius Randle, the NBA's most improved player this year. He's shown that him as a number one option just leads to good things for the New York Knicks, and he was one of the biggest reasons why they were able to become a 4th seed in the East this year. Made the All-NBA second team, was a one-time All-Star this year, 24 points a game this season, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. A very underrated three-point shooter. He showed me this year that he actually is pretty consistent at that, 41% from 3 on 5 attempts a game. That's very, very impressive. Still needs to work on his inside proficiency. I mean, 45% from the field. Kind of worrisome, but still, he was able to provide you 24 points on that, so that's really, really good. Also, 80% from the free throw line, which is the best of his career. The only thing that really just leaves a black mark on his season was just his playoff performance. 18 points a game, 12 rebounds. That looks fine, but his efficiency was just absolutely horrible. 30% from the field. Just over 30% from the three-point line. He just did not have a good playoffs. And honestly, the Atlanta Hawks just kind of figured him out, and they were able to kind of remove him from the game. But he still had a fantastic season. I'm not going to take away anything from him. He was the number one option on a very, very good Knicks team who was very good defensively as well. He showed that he has very good defensive instincts. He's a very good player, and I have him slightly above Sabonis in this one, but for me, he's still a top 5. Right now, he's a top 5 power forward in basketball. So at number 5, give me Julius Randle. Also, very underrated passer as well, 6 assists a game. Coming at number 4, again, something that a lot of people may roll their eyes at. Some people might not like it. But number 4, give me Zion Williamson. Only in just entering his 3rd season, this guy already, for me, has catapulted into that top 4 power forward level right now. This past season, 27 points a game, 7 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 61% from the field. Not a great 3-point shooter, just under 30%. But, man, this guy is just dominant. And the fact that you can look at him in his 3rd season, after his 2nd season, say, this guy is the best paint finisher, the most dominant paint presence right now in the NBA, is something that can be argued. Yes, some people may say Giannis, but the fact that he is so efficient down there, and the way he could just kind of body people, the way he's just freaking just sending people out the paint, and how dominant he is in that paint already at his young career, is absolutely fantastic. Now, do I think that he could be the best player in the league? Maybe, maybe not, but the Pelicans just need to build a better team around him. He's holding up his end of the bargain. People knew he was going to be a superstar. He is playing like a superstar, but he just needs to have better team success. He needs to have a better team around him. They let go of Lonzo Ball. They brought in Devontae Graham. They have Jonas Valanciunas. They brought back Josh Hart, and they still have Brandon Ingram. Not a bad team, but they need to have some sort of playoff. They need to get to the playoffs and let Zion show how good he could be when he can get to those high pressure situations. Because right now, in his 2 seasons, I mean, I had my doubts about him, but the fact that he's already dominating at this young of an age is something special. That's something that we haven't seen from someone this young. Besides Luka, besides maybe LeBron, stuff like that. I mean, he's just up there with some of these generational type players. But he just needs to get into the playoffs. He just needs to get there. Maybe improve his defensive game as well. I mean, he's this okay perimeter defender, but he just definitely needs to work on that. But I think he'll hold up his end of the bargain. I think he's just going to continue to get better. It's just all about the Pelicans trying to give him a better team around him. So yeah, number 4, give me Zion Williamson. Coming at number 3 is someone that not a lot of people talk about, and I think that Because of his injuries, I have him further down in my list than I would have liked. But coming at number 3 at the power forward position, give me Anthony Davis. Give me Anthony Davis. Last season, kind of a down year for him, especially because he missed half the games. 22 points a game, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Still was a great player on the defensive end. 1.6 blocks, 1.3 steals. A very good 3-point shooter as well. Great inside. But the same thing with Joel Embiid. Can this guy stay healthy, man? Anthony Davis has all the tools of a generational player. I thought that this season he was going to kind of take the number 1 option from LeBron. He hasn't really done that yet. And I think a lot of that is just him just having to stay on the court. Because the season before that, when he was an NBA champion, he had one of the best seasons of his career. 26 points a game, 9 rebounds, 2.3 blocks, 1.5 steals. This guy was arguably the Defensive Player of the Year in 2020. 2021, Anthony Davis, he went down with an injury during the playoffs. He missed half the games once again. He just isn't available, and I think that's the reason why I have him like kind of lower than I would like. Anthony Davis is definitely slipping in my rankings, but he's still only 28 years old. There's a reason why he is a supermax player no matter what. He's just in that tier of superstardom. But for the Lakers to succeed and for them to win a championship, they need to get more out of Anthony Davis, and not on the court, but just him being available. He just needs to be on the court because we already know how good he could be. He just needs to stay on the court, and I think that's the biggest thing for him this year. Just continue to play his game because his game is one of the best in the league. But just being able to stay on the court is something that the Lakers need from him, and that's going to be absolutely key if they want to go back to the finals. So, number 3, give me Anthony Davis. At number 2, this guy could be number 1. This guy 100% could be number 1 if I didn't include the guy at number 1 and the power forward position. But so that means this guy has to be number 2, sadly. Coming at number 2, give me Giannis Antetokounmpo. Finals MVP, 2-time MVP, regular season MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved. This guy, he proved a lot of people wrong this season. He got over the hump, won an NBA championship. He dominated throughout the entire playoff run. One of the best performances throughout the entire playoffs. I mean, 30-12, 1 block, 1 steal. Especially in that closeout game in the playoffs, man, this guy was just absolutely fantastic. And like I said, this guy is probably a number 1 power forward in the league if I just didn't include that guy at number 1 as a power forward. But his ability to be like a top 3 rim protector in the NBA. Like I said, Defensive Player of the Year. This guy has so many accolades under his belt. Already probably a Hall of Famer. And the fact that he is able to show that his type of play can lead to a championship, him winning with Milwaukee, is fantastic. He can dominate on both ends. And this season, at least he's shown that he's not afraid to take jumpers. He's smart enough to know that, my worth is going inside all the time. But he has definitely had an improved jumper. He's shown that he can improve his free throw shooting as well because he did that in game 6 of the NBA Finals. This guy won, I think like 17 for 19 or something like that, like something ridiculous. He's getting better every single year, and I don't think it's stopping. I absolutely don't think it's stopping. I mean, this season, people don't even want to put him in the MVP conversation, averaging 28, 11, and 6. That's how great this guy has been. People have started getting voter fatigue from him. But, yeah, he has shown that he can dominate both sides of the ball. One of the most dominant paint presences in the NBA right now. For me, it's him and Zion being, just the best inside presence. But, yeah, the fact that he's shown that he can win a championship with his play style and just dominate the finals is absolutely great for him. He's definitely, if he were to retire today, I wouldn't mind him being in the Hall of Fame. He's just that great of a player. He is number 2 in my power forward list. And coming at number 1, like I said, if I didn't consider this guy a power forward, and as a disclaimer, I'm using ESPN for their for the position and stuff like that. They say this guy's a power forward. I had to put him here. Number 1, give me Kevin Durant. I think he's shown this year that he is still one of the best players in the world. In my opinion, the best player in the world right now. Averaging 26 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Still a pretty decent defender. can shoot over everyone, can just take over games. Kevin Durant is just so good as a basketball player, and he was clearly the best player on Team USA this year as well. He definitely deserves that respect. Him in that Game 7 versus the Bucks, he was absolutely phenomenal. Same thing in that Game 5. But the only thing was he probably would have won a championship this year if it wasn't for the injuries of his other teammates. But this guy for me is the best player in basketball. He can shoot with the best of them. Is arguably the best offensive player in the league right now. I wouldn't mind people putting him number 1. And he's just one of the most influential players in basketball. I mean, you're going to try to get it out of his hands no matter what. But this guy's a freaking 7-foot shooting guard at this point. And he can just shoot over anyone. He can get by anyone. And is just improved at so many aspects of his offensive game. And a solid defender as well. Kevin Durant is, in my opinion, the number 1 power forward in the NBA right now. And I'm extremely excited to see what a healthy next team can do next year and see if they're going to be able to win the elusive championship. So yeah, those are my top 5 power forwards. Again, agree or disagree, let me know down below. And I know I've been going a bit long here. Hopefully I can try to keep this under an hour. Hopefully under 50 minutes. But let's get right into these small forwards. I'm going to go a bit quickly with the honorable mention. For me, the top 5 small forwards are said, but if I had to give kind of a small mention, I would have to give it to Brandon Ingram. Kind of a down year compared to his most improved year. Not a most improved year, but his All-Star year the year before that. But he still had a very good year. 23 points a game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 38% from the 3, 46% from the field. He just didn't have really that same impact. I mean, I was hoping that he would jump up to a 26, 27 point per game scorer. He hasn't done that yet, but he is a very, very good player still. Kevin Durant light in a sense there. He just needs to be kind of more assertive as a number 2 option. I mean, Zion is a kind of the clear number 1 option there in New Orleans. I just like to see, Brandon Ingram kind of assert himself more on the offensive end. He kind of disappears from games sometimes, especially in the fourth quarter. But he just needs to be more aggressive on the offensive end. I think he could definitely crack the top 5 list. He just needs to be more confident in himself, and I think that they can. He knows that, and I think he could provide it this year. So, as an honorable mention, I have him as my honorable mention for my top 5 small forward list. Coming at number 5 is another player from the NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks. Number 5, I have Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton this year, 20 points a game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, a 2-time NBA All-Star. Very good from the 3-point line, 41%, 47% from the field. And again, an NBA champion. This guy has shown this year that he, especially in the finals, that he is a very, very underrated player. And people need to talk about him more. Because he is a fantastic 3-point shooter. Honestly, I believe one of the best in the league. He is a solid defender. And he's shown that in the fourth quarter, when the Bucks need him to come through, he has been able to come through. And in the playoffs, he actually exceeded his regular season stats: 23 points a game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. He's had some massive games in the playoffs and just massive quarters where they just need someone to come through for them when Giannis is struggling a little bit. They cannot get much perimeter offense going. He's been able to prove that he could give that to a championship team. And he's been absolutely fantastic throughout his entire career, but I'm glad people are starting to talk about him now. A big reason why the Bucks won the championship. Great 3-point shooter, like I said. Has a money mid-range jumper, which not a lot of people want to talk about. And he can get to the rim and actually finish in there. One of the best free throw shooters in the league as well. Almost at 90% at the free throw line. I mean, this guy's going to be constantly in the mix for the 50-40-90 club. I think he did that in 2020 as well. So, yeah, absolutely crazy. Chris Middleton is my number 5 small forward in the league. Coming at number 4, we have someone who was an NBA finalist 2 seasons ago. Kind of stunk it up in the playoffs this season, but I still think he is a top 5 small forward. That's why I have him at number 4. At number 4, give me Jimmy Butler. This past season, 21 points per game, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Made All-NBA once again. And the biggest thing with Jimmy Butler is we know how great he is on the defensive end. We know that he can take over games in the offensive end because we've seen what he did with the Miami Heat 2 years ago in the playoffs. he was just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, in that whole like playoff run, 22 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and he had a fantastic NBA Finals. The thing is, this season, I mean, obviously he had some injuries that kind of halted him from being better than from being more in that All-Star conversation. That's why he didn't make the All-Star game this year. But he kind of just folded in the playoffs. I mean, before the playoffs, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go stupid in the playoffs." Well, he didn't. 14 points a game, 6 rebounds. 14 points, 7 and 7. 26% from the field. 29% from the field. 26% from 3. He just did not play good. I think that was a product of just the Miami Heat just not playing that good this year and them being kind of a average team, maybe a below average team. But still, you got to expect more from Jimmy Butler. And I think the Heat I do believe he's going to bounce back this year. I mean, there's a reason why they gave him a big time extension, 4 years, $184 million. I expect him to be very good again next year. I expect him to be in the All-Star team. He just needs to be healthy on the court, and the Heat just need to perform around him. That's why I have him at number 4. He's, again, one of the best in the perimeter defenders in the league. He is the heart and soul of the Miami Heat team. He's their leader. I have him number 4 on my top 5 small forward list. Coming at number 3 is someone who I think gets pretty disrespected in my opinion, but he is like on the cusp of being a top 10 NBA player, and that is Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum this year, 26 points a game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Another season where he made the All-Star game. He was just absolutely fantastic this season, constantly improving every single year of his career. And what I like about Jason Tatum is just how confident he is in himself, creating shots, becoming a better defender, improving on his three-point shooting as well. He's just a fantastic, fantastic NBA player. His game is really smooth. Sometimes he does take some pretty dumb jump shots and stuff like that at the end of games. But he's proven this year that he is like on the cusp of being a top 10 NBA player. Yes, the team success doesn't really mirror that. I mean, they were 7th in the East. But Jason Tatum just keeps improving in his game, and he just improves on like so many aspects on the defensive end, from the free throw shooting, from the 3-point shooting. He's just becoming one of those players, and I have to put him at number 3 just because he can like take over games. He has that ability to kind of like drop 40 or 50 at any given time. The Celtics just need to have a better team around him. I think he could become a number 1 guy in a championship team, but he just needs the right pieces around him. Number 3, I have Jason Tatum. Coming at number 2, I have a player who is going to miss the majority of this season, but I still think he is arguably a top 5 NBA player. I have the Claw. Give me Kawhi Leonard. This season, 24 points a game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. I think he even played even better come playoff time. I mean, this guy was basically taking over playoff games against the Dallas Mavericks and at some points against the Utah Jazz. 30 points a game in the playoffs, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. He's a fantastic NBA player. One of the best perimeter defenders still in the league. One of the most feared defenders in the league. The guy who always stays quiet but always seems to put in the work. Kawhi Leonard has just developed into this player where he can basically shoot from anywhere at this point. He has one of the best, if not the best mid-range game in basketball. The only thing that sucks is that he is going to miss the majority of next year. I think like 9 months or something. So he's probably not going to be back till like March, April maybe. But even still, this guy's going to come back. There's a reason he got a max extension as well. He is just that type of player where no matter what team you put him on, he's probably going to be the best player. And he just affects the games in so many different ways. Improving as a passer as well. Very solid rebounder. And you can put this guy on the best offensive player on the other team. Plain and simple, Kawhi Leonard is just that. Is just that guy. There's a reason he's a 2-time Finals MVP. Led the Raptors 3 seasons ago to the NBA championship. Fantastic player, and that's why I have him number 2 still in my small forward list. And coming at number 1, you saw this coming. I'm going to go with arguably the best player in the world, arguably the GOAT. Give me LeBron James. This season, 25 points a game, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, another fantastic season. The only thing this year is that he did not play great in the playoffs, And he also missed a bunch of games. I believe this is the least amount of games he played in his career. Yes, 45 games. I mean, 3 seasons ago he missed 27 games on an 82-game schedule, but he missed the same amount of games this season as well. And look, I don't mind people not having him as the best player in the world right now, because I don't, and I think I'm going to make a post on that for sure. But he is still LeBron James. He is still one of those players where you have him on your team, you're going to be a finals contender. You're 100% going to be a finals contender. Now that they brought in Russell Westbrook and they built this like basically new team from scratch besides, LeBron and AD, they're expected to make the playoffs, and a big part of that is LeBron James. People are expecting him to come back and have one of those type of seasons again. At age 37, when the season is going to get underway, I think in December he's going to be age 37. People expect a lot from LeBron James, and that just comes with him just being that great of a player for so long. He's been a 17-time All-Star. 2000, he was a scoring champ, like double digits, All-NBA as well. He's just one of the greatest players of all time. And like I said, I'm fine with people not putting him as the best player in the world right now, but he still has to be up there. I still think he's better than Kawhi Leonard, and yeah, he's the best small forward in the league still. And I think this year he's going to bounce back. I'm not going to say he's going to fall off or anything. Yes, he's going to get older, but I do believe the Lakers are going to be one of the title contenders, whether he is going to be the first or second option. LeBron James is LeBron James, man, and when the playoffs come around, he's going to be a different monster if he's healthy. I mean, this season he wasn't even that bad, 23-6-7. Sorry, it's 23-7-8. He just wasn't really like as assertive as he was in like previous championships. But I think he's going to bounce back this year. He's going to show why he is still arguably the best player in the world. LeBron James, number one player, number one small forward in the league. But yeah, those are my top 5 small forwards. Again, let me know down below what you guys think. And just what you think about any of these positions, any of the transactions I talked about earlier, let me know down below. I think that this is where we're going to end today's episode. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to show love on all the podcast channels. Like, share, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And remember to follow @TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for some awesome content. Again, I'm going to make some more posts for this week. Be on the lookout for that. Also, next week, obviously, like I mentioned at the top of the show, going to be making my top 5 shooting guard list and my top 5 point guard list. So that should be very, very exciting to talk about. And yeah, just whatever news comes out next week. Maybe I might do like another segment as well. Just kind of still trying to think about it, but it's obviously going to be a great episode for next week. Again, thank you guys for all the support you've been giving me. It's just enjoying my summer right now. Still going to be doing this podcast still weekly, and hopefully I can still provide some great posts throughout the entirety of the school year, which is coming up very quick for me. But I just love doing this. Can't wait to talk some more basketball, and I hope you really do enjoy this episode. Again, thank you guys for all the support. Hope you have a fantastic day. Take it easy, guys. TV signing out. Peace.